Y10K Fractured. Prelude. 6th month, 15th day, 9999. 6th year of Imperator Larrikin Lightning Fury II. What are they? Larrikin asked from his place by the Imperial office window. The young stallion barely needed to part the drape's back to reveal the source of his concern. Above the imperial capital city of Camelonicus there was no mistaking it. Ethereal, twisting, dancing lights, brilliant red and orange, burned across the sky, bright enough to drown out the sunset and first stars, cavorting high above the city like something alive. Some sort of aurora, I would suppose, Retrimus replied calmly. That earned him a look. The last I checked, polar lights do not look like that, Uncle. Care to try again? Retrimus let the jab pass. I honestly do not know, Majesty. I have received calls from multiple constabulary precincts across the city tonight. No one can explain them, and no one seems to know what to do. They appear harmless. Even at 18, Larrikin could smell panic, and he would use it. The look didn't break. If I knew what this was, I'd tell you, if only to avoid this interrogation. I am no meteorologist nor astronomer, which raises a question. Why haven't you summoned them? Why come to me first? I would think my prime minister would have already done so. A clean hit. Retrimus absorbed it. Was deserved. Very well, Majesty. I have been remiss. What are your orders? You will contact the Imperial astronomer. This doesn't look atmospheric. He's likely already observing it. Larrikin turned from the window and moved to his desk. I will have his report in the morning. In the meantime, the interoffice signal cut him off. Larrikin shot it a poisonous look before tapping the screen. I said no interruptions while I'm with the Prime Minister. The Imperial physician requests audience, sire, the Deputy Chamberlain replied. That landed Harvard unexpected. I see. 5 minutes, send him in. Retrimus stepped into position at Larrikin's left. What happened, Majesty? Laurel had called him earlier. I don't know why. Loriana seized while he was here. He hasn't left since. Larrikin's voice tightened. It's been a long day. A knock. Enter and be recognized, Retrimus called. The Honorable Dr. Oswellman seeks audience. The Imperial physician may enter and be heard. The doctor stepped in, bowed, and straightened. Your Majesty, Lord Prime Minister. Her Majesty the Imperatrix Laurel and the Dowager Imperatrix Nemura send their greetings and happy news. Her Majesty the Imperatrix is with foal. I estimate 3 to 3.5 months gestation. The tone didn't match the words. Retrimus felt it immediately. Larrikin did too. It was only their second foal. Loriana was only 6 months old, and fragile, constantly ill, seizures no one could explain. What else? Retrimus asked quietly. Larrikin leaned forward. Yes, you're holding something back. What is it? Oswelman steadied himself. I regret to inform your majesty, this hole will be necessary. Pause. As of 1857 this evening, Her Imperial Crown Highness, Princess Loriana, has died. Silence. Total, crushing silence. Matrimus couldn't breathe. The room tilted. Somewhere to his right, Larrikin did not move. Majesty? Matrimus tried, but his voice failed him. Larrikin exploded. Matrimus came to, with Larrikin looming over him, his eyes glowing an unnatural yellow. The anger was still there, but contained now, barely. Where is Oswelman? Matrimus asked, pushing himself upright. Preparing the post-mortem, Larrikin said coldly. Then he will explain to Laurel why he failed to save our daughter. The words came out like ice edged with teeth. Are you recovered, Uncle? I can't believe she's gone. The glow faded from Larrikin's eyes, slowly, but not the anger. This is why Oswelman will report to Laurel directly. I have no further use for him as a physician. Larrikin turned sharply, snatching a document from his desk and thrusting it into Matrimus' hands. But I do have use for you. Matrimus slipped down with it. You will explain how these people gained audience with me this morning after I expressly forbade it. Matrimus was ushered out. The corridor felt cold. He steadied himself and looked down at the paper. A standard request for imperial audience form. Everything appeared in order, but the names. Recognition crept in. The Y10K alarmist. In 6 months, Larrikin would usher the Empire into its 10,000th year, a milestone that would place him among the millennial infuriators. The last thing he wanted was hysteria. The alarmist claimed that when the date rolled from 12/31/9999 to 1/1/10,000, every system in the empire would fall. Total collapse, civilization reduced to rubble. Larrikin had no patience for it, especially not while spending trillions on the greatest celebration in history. You are distracted. Matrimus looked up. Nomura descended the stairs toward him. What do you need? He asked, rolling the form up in his hands. You did not see the sky? The lights in the sky? I have no explanation. I've been ordered to consult the Imperial astronomer. He paused. Among other things. You know about Loriana? She's dead. Laurel is pregnant. Yes, I know. His voice tightened. Larrikin nearly killed Oswelman. You are snarly tonight. I have work to do. She gave him a knowing look. He tore into you, didn't he? You really don't know what caused the lights? No, I don't. She studied him, then gave a small, dismissive motion. Fine. Then do your duty. But do one thing for me. What? She leaned in and whispered. Matrimus pulled back, frowning. What are you after? Just humor me. At worst, it proves nothing. She waved him along as if he had been the one delayed. Matrimus angled toward the tunnel under Starlight Square to his office. Beyond the palace windows, the square lay open, imposing, strictly controlled. No flight was permitted anywhere within the palace precinct. The tram existed for this very reason. He stepped aboard. The doors closed behind him, and the carriage glided smoothly away beneath the no-fly zone toward the office towers beyond. By the time Retrimus reached his offices on the 50th floor, the building was quiet. Most staff had gone home. He dropped the audience form into an overflowing in-basket. Tomorrow problem. Tonight, he sat and began making calls. Funeral arrangements for Princess Loriana. And somewhere in between, answers about the lights in the sky. It was going to be a long night. 12/31/99. Sixth year of the reign of Larrikin Lightning Fury II. It had been a long 6 months for Retrimus. He had pursued every possible avenue of investigation into the lights in the skies. The auroras had continued for 2 more months after the first sightings, appearing in scattered locations across the globe, before abruptly ceasing. Their final display had been spectacular. The lights flared to blinding brilliance, and the entire planet seemed to shudder beneath them. The Y10K alarmists, at least, had the good grace not try to claim credit for that. A spokesperson, speaking from an undisclosed location, admitted they had no idea what caused the phenomenon. Their concern remained fixed on the coming rollover, 1/10,000 specifically, the fear that computer systems would fail catastrophically. Natural events, they insisted, were not within their scope. What the alarmists did seize on was the date 9/9/99. A number of systems had interpreted the date as 9999, a default command in some architectures to terminate all processes and shut down. The consequences had been immediate and severe. Power grids collapsed and refused to restart. Regional air traffic control systems failed. GPS networks went haywire, sending aircraft into uncontrolled descents. There were confirmed fatalities. Ocean liners collided as navigation systems failed. Starflight between interplanetary colonies ground to a halt. Even systems within Retrimus' own office had shut down and remained dead. The alarmist had launched a full-court press in the aftermath, warning that the 31st would bring something worse. The hysteria had grown so intense that Larrikin had ordered Commander General Marcisic of the Imperial Armed Services to locate and detain several of the group's active cells. Still, the unrest persisted. Citizens openly questioned whether the empire would remain stable through New Year's Eve and the New Year. Tabloid broadcasts fed the panic relentlessly. Retrimus had begun privately referring to them as Panic TV. Larrikin had snarled at everyone for weeks following 9/9/99. The entire court scrambled to contain the situation. They had failed. Even the new royal pregnancy had done little to steady the empire. The celebrations had been muted under the constant drumbeat of fear. For Retrimus, the pregnancy had revived the quiet investigation Namura had urged him to begin, one he kept strictly to himself. The Aurora investigation had reached a dead end. The imperial astronomer had observed every occurrence and still could offer no explanation. As for the unauthorized audience granted to the alarmists, it had been a technicality. The names on the form belonged to Othorm and his half-brother Magnus, only part-time affiliates. They had not been on any formal watch lists. A loophole, an unacceptable one. Retrimus returned to Larrikin empty-handed. The Imperator had not taken it well. Matters only worsened when it was discovered that the new foal would have to be delivered early. Laurel, already unstable from Loriana's death, had been pushed to the brink. The risk to her and the unborn foal had nearly broken her. The surgery had succeeded. The foal, a male, had survived, but the aftermath lingered. The celebrations, the naming, the installation, even the early demonstration of the prince's mind power had carried an undercurrent of strain. The festivity felt forced. To Retrimus' eye, far too much wine had flowed during the banquets. Even now, with Crown Prince Imperial Irylan returned home, tension clung to the imperial household. Less visible, perhaps, but still present. Retrimus! Nomura's voice cut cleanly through his thoughts. Retrimus! You were well away, weren't you? It has not been an easy time, he said, offering a weak smile, and I doubt the coming year will be any kinder. Where is my wife? She stepped out briefly. She intends to return before the countdown. She is going to be cutting it close. We are at 5 minutes to midnight. She gestured toward the clock on the reception room wall. Time to go out to the plaza, Retrimus said, exhaling. How was my inquiry progressing? Nomura asked as they moved toward the terrace doors. Spinning in place, he replied quietly, at least through my usual channels. Perhaps it was nothing, as I hoped. She paused, though I still have my doubts, especially now. I will continue to look, Retrimus said, but I advise you, do not share your suspicions with anyone else. Nomura gave him a sharp look. I am no fool, Retrimus. They stepped out onto the terrace. Below, the plaza roared. Music thundered. The crowd surged with anticipation as the imperial couple and Prince Irylan took their place at the center of the dais, their image magnified across multiple display screens. Gold, silver, gemstone brilliance, perfect smiles. To the public eye, the empire was flawless. Only a few knew better. Larrikin stepped to the microphone. Lords, ladies, and citizens of the Empire, 60 seconds to midnight. Everyone prepare for the final countdown to the year 10,000. The crowd erupted. 10. The count rolled forward, taken up by thousands. Retrimus joined it, almost without thinking. 5. Something flickered. The great orbital clock. He frowned. 3, 2. The clock hesitated. 1. It froze. Where the crowd shouted 0, the display held at 1. It flickered, flashed, blinked. Then the screen filled with zeros and went dark. Across the plaza, lights began to fail. Others surged wildly, flickering in wild bursts as systems collapsed. Then, all the fireworks detonated at once. A single, massive, multicolored explosion tore through the sky. Half the dais disintegrated. Retrimus was thrown hard against the plaza tiles, swallowed instantly by a surge of panicked bodies. An aircraft, out of control, spun wildly overhead, lights blinking in chaotic spirals. It dropped fast, too fast, and slammed into the base of the 60-story office tower that housed his own offices. Fire bloomed, red, orange, yellow. The explosion swallowed everything, and in that instance, Artrex began to fall. Safe travels.